Welcome to the Daily B Show with Matty B. Woo! So we've got Kelly Gardner on the show today, episode 72. It is powering along. And look, he's living over in California. He's a part of Preston Smiles Man Cave group, along with Sam Lewis and JD Azuma, who's been on the show, Blaze Grinner. All these lads have been working together tirelessly to really make a really positive change in men and in communities around the world in what they're doing, which is fantastic. And mate, Kelly's got a pretty colourful history. A lot of the titles he had is too many syllables for my vocabulary. Hey guys, thanks for jumping on. But what he's really proud of is a lot of the community work that he's been doing in amongst the New York Film Academy and film and television industry, and a lot of the community stuff that he's been able to put out there. But most of all, he's obviously a proud father and husband as well. So I'm really excited to have him on. He's teaching people and really coaching people around story coaching and helping people figure out the story that they have to really push and drive what they're doing in their business and in their life as well. So that's something personally that I'm really keen to hear about, because it's something that I've been practicing, learning, and just really getting on top of is my own story and what I have to share with the world and how I get to communicate that best to really have the biggest impact. So I'm pumped to have Kelly on today. Super stoked to share his story with you guys. And let's get this show on the road. Kelly, let me know if you see the invitation there, brother. If not, you might need to, I don't know. I can't see an ad, so maybe jump out of the video and jump back in. Make sure your phone's on horizontal. It should come up any second though. Hey Loz, hey Kristen, hey Roy, Rosie. All right, Ryan, I'm going to do my blindfold thing, I think tomorrow. Kelly, let me know if that invitation has come through. It's not allowing me to add you for some reason, brother. So I would suggest, hey Holly, jump back out of the video and jump back in, ensuring you got your headphones in or you had your headphones in and your phone sideways. Yeah, that should have worked. Matty B, Holly P, Luxton. So, here we go. Daily B Show. That's still not coming up, Kelly. Wonder. Hey Ali, thanks for joining us, brother. Why is that not letting me add you? I might start this again. Hold that thought. I'm just going to pause the video. I'll be right back. All right, rookie moves. On the computer, yes, I was not clear in my instruction. All right, so if you jump on with your phone, brother, there we go. To reiterate, Kelly Gardner, ladies and gentlemen, in the house. Come at you live, California, Sammy Moya, Nicola. Hey guys.
All right, there we go. Sorry about that.
No, sorry. Would you find some headphones broke to check in for me?
Yep. Switching out there. Apologies. Got to bring up my switching them back on.
That's right.
All right, there we go.
How are we looking?
Here we are.
How are we looking? All right.
Yes, indeed. You got me?
An echo.
I'm still good.
Do you have actual plug-in headphones?
Plug-in headphones by any chance?
No, I don't. Okay, I got you. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Whoa, old school plug-in headphones. All right. Yeah, I do. Hold on.
Yeah.
And Brianna, good to see you guys. Oh, Brian, how are you, brother?
There we go. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Now we're with you.
There we go. When you watch it back, you'll hear the echo that comes. It's like,
see, us old guys, we're used to doing everything on the
echo.
computer. Everything happens on the phone these days. All right, here we are.
Well,
so good to
thank
be
you
here,
very much for coming on board and joining us. So, mate, over in California,
my pleasure.
is it cold, or are you just like rocking the scarf because
Yes.
you're a stylish kind of a lad? It's cold.
It's cold, man. It is. It's legitimately cold here. I do like rocking the scarf. Thank you for noticing. But you know, we don't get very many opportunities to use it. But it's been raining like nonstop, so we're getting a little bit of a cold weather, and I got a little bit of a cold going on. So I'm trying to keep the throat warm.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, you've been working pretty hard lately and doing a lot of work lately with the lads, yeah?
Yeah, you know, we just had a bunch of the men out from Australia. Sam was out here staying with me for a little while, and was saying that this is the coldest he's been in a long time. So apparently his winters are a lot warmer than our summers. So you know, sunny Southern California isn't so bad. Yeah, you know his Vanuatu, right? He's told you all about the Vanuatu experience, right?
100%.
So,
Mate, I just flew in to Florida for a few days, but I stopped by Montreal and Toronto and Vancouver, where it was like inches of snow, and I had my flip flops on, and I was not prepared. I was not prepared whatsoever.
yeah, it's real. Climate change is real, and it's getting cold. It's definitely getting cold. So. You know, we gotta deal with what we got, and you know, we need lots of rain here. So it's I'm not complaining. California can use all the rain it can take.
Lovely, man. Got to get out and sing in the rain. So mate, I introduced you briefly anyway. Speaking briefly on obviously your man caving work with Preston and the guys, the community service stuff that you briefly told me about, which we'll get into as well. But for those that don't know you, do you want to give yourself a little bit of a how you're doing, an intro for those that haven't met you before and don't know what you're about and where you're from and what you're up to?
Sure. You know, it's been a long journey. I've been doing community development work for 20 years, and it's taken me in a lot of different directions. But you know, always maintaining the importance of story. You know, story has been really the guiding light for me in understanding my individual story and helping people to shape their stories in a way that really communicates to the world what's on their heart. And that's, I think, the through line that keeps me motivated today. I initially connected with Preston around the idea of supporting fathers. For me, that's been a journey that's been a lot of ups and downs, played every different role that you can imagine in that world, and really wanting to help out men and fathers in particular who are struggling to find their way. I think that's a very common challenge, and not a lot of people are there to help that. And I came across Preston, and he mentioned this thing about man cave, and I realized, well, before you can be a father, you must be a man. And so really looking at the power of bringing men together to support each other, to have the life that they want, I think is really the most important thing that's on my heart these days. I know that as a man raised by women, that I haven't always had that, and I've not always understood the importance of it. So I really do wear two big hats these days. One is as a men's coach and supporting men, and the other hat that I wear is working with coaches and other individuals to help them understand their own personal story and how to communicate that story in a way that helps people become in alignment with the vision and mission that they have on their hearts.
So what was the pull towards helping fathers? Is that something that, like, did you grow up without a father yourself? Is that like becoming a father, was that the catalyst? Like, what was it that really drove you in that direction?
You know, one of the things that I found for myself and for most people is the thing that has created some of the biggest challenges in my life are often the things that create the biggest opportunities. And for sure, for me, you know, my first marriage was very tough. It was the darkest time of my life in many ways. I had had a very wonderful life, been supporting people and doing community engagement work, and found myself in a relationship that had turned toxic in many ways. and found myself going through divorce and having to parent as a single father. And all of the lessons that I learned through that really helped me understand how important it was to have community, and to really, as a man, learn to own your own shit, to figure out what's going on in your backyard. And so as I started stepping into the role of supporting and coaching men more specifically, I started to realize the thing that was most on my heart was really the challenges that I had gone through, and being able to support men who were going through that very same thing just felt so really powerful and moving for myself.
Yeah. And when you talk about that being the darkest time with that, can you elaborate and paint a bit of a picture for those who may be still in that space? And because obviously seeing you now, it's easy to go back and talk about, and you look like you got your shit together, right? But there's a lot of people out there that are still in the depths of that despair. So can you sort of paint a picture just so they know sort of where you were and what you've had to come from?
Sure, absolutely. So, I got into that relationship where, the person who's the opposite of me completes me. I was an artist. I was in graduate school for filmmaking, and I fell in love with a beautiful young brain scientist. And what I found in my relationship is that while we were opposites, and I thought, oh, you have what I don't have, and I have what you don't have, what it actually led to was competition. That in our relationship, we found an opportunity to basically see in the other what we weren't, and constantly trying to prove to the other person. I was constantly trying to prove to her that I was smart enough. I was trying to prove to her that I was good enough, and entered into this relationship based on competition. And then on my 30th birthday, we got pregnant. Congratulations. And so entering into a new relationship with a lot of challenges, and a child thrown in the mix, who was very near colicky, was staying up throughout the night, constantly screaming, crying, having challenges, and throw that into the mix in a relationship where you were already fighting and having challenges. And while we were both committed to being good parents, we didn't have the tools to be there for each other. And I found myself fighting, getting angry, using drugs and alcohol, smoking pot constantly to avoid the feelings that were coming up for me, telling myself that I was a better dad when I was high than when I was sober, and really hitting an emotional low. On the outside, being there to take care of everybody else, but on the inside, just falling apart piece by piece by piece. And ultimately, that relationship came to an end, and we were very much at each other's throats. I still had custody of my son, and so I was able to be a good father. At least it was what I believed was a good father at that time. But constantly blaming my partner for all of the problems and all of the challenges that I was having. My life had always been good, and then when she came into my life, everything went bad. And so it was her fault that my life was bad because of all of the things that she had done. And it really took me a long time to recognize that it wasn't her, it was me. Samantha, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, because this is what it's all about. It really is about facing off with myself and recognizing that when I'm pointing the finger at somebody else, I'm really pointing the finger at me, and came to realize that I was pointing the finger at my little child, at the little child inside of me that wanted to be loved, that wanted to be told that he was smart enough, that wanted to be told that he was good enough, and was constantly looking and jabbing at my partner to reflect back what I didn't believe in myself. And then I found men's work. And then I discovered that little boy, and let that little boy have a voice for the very first time. And let that little boy speak to me and talk to me and recognize the pain that he was feeling, the pain that I was feeling, the pain that I had been carrying with me through the majority of my life. I quit drugs, I quit alcohol. I really invested in having great relationships with men that I had grown up with. And, I was in those traditional systems. I was in a fraternity. I played sports. I had men in my life, but on the surface level, and really committed to the relationships that I had and deepening into those. And through that, I learned that I was a fucking asshole. I was a total asshole. And I had been that for a long time. And owning up to that and having clearings, reaching out to my ex-wife and, you know, really being clear about where the challenges that I created in that relationship, created the space for healing, created the space so that today my ex-wife and my wife and my son's stepdad and we're all great friends. We break bread together. We sit down at the table together and we're able to co-parent in a way that supports this young man's development, because ultimately I don't want him to be in a space where he's looking at himself, trying to compete with other people from this mentality that there's not enough.
Yeah, it's super powerful, because it's interesting, like when you talk about that little boy within yourself that you had to get reconnected with. When you got your own kid there, I don't have kids, but I see parents and when they've got their own children, it's really powerful. Like in my coaching with clients, like asking parents, like, okay, you're speaking to yourself like this and you're treating yourself like this, but if this was your son or your daughter, how would you want them to? Would you want them to hold on to this pain any longer, or would you want them to hold on to that train of thought or that belief system? And it's full on. Like, can you explain what it was like for yourself when you first really got in touch with that inner child again as an adult, and what that process was like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to honor William's question here about the turning point, because that was a really key piece. I have another son. I have an 11-year-old and I have a 3-year-old. And I had set out to do things differently. In my first relationship, I was a stay-at-home dad. I called myself at the time a stay-at-home mom. Because I had lots of mom friends, because I was supporting my wife while she was doing her PhD. I was staying at home and trying to be a support in that way. But what I realized in that time was that, you know, a parent, the kind of parent that I wanted to be, really required somebody to be committed to being that. When I met my wife now, I wanted to provide an opportunity for her to be able to be home. That's what she wanted to do. She wanted to be a mother, and I wanted to provide that space. And so I went off and I got the big important job. I became the dean of a film school, and you know, made a lot of really good money, and thought that that was going to be the solution. That if I could take care of the income and provide for my family in a way that I didn't provide in the first time, that would solve all my problems. And then I found myself becoming the same asshole. New relationship, same me. A couple years into, you know, after our son was born, yeah, right. You know, I can run as many times as I want, but I'm still there. I'm still that same asshole. Because I'm not facing off with my own demons. I had been blaming somebody else for all the problems that were in my life. And so I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. And one of the things that I've discovered was that the separation that I created between, you know, having me being the working man and bringing home the bacon, bringing home the money, and my wife taking care of the kid, had created this separation between us. And I didn't want to do that anymore. And so we set on a path together to co-facilitate this, to share our work and to share the raising of our son. And that's when I realized that I really needed to really look at how I was showing up as a man, you know, because new relationship, I'm still the same asshole. What's underneath that? And so initially started with a training called Warrior Weekend with Mankind Project, which is where I met Preston Smiles. We were both there at the same time doing some training. And we were doing some somatic healing work, which, you know, is really powerful work. And that was one of the first times that I got to really meet my little boy. and the pain that he was feeling, and to experience him outside of me, and to communicate with him, to literally engage and talk with that child, and to share with him. And through that communication is really where I started to see that little boy has been showing up in so many other places in my life. That he's been scared about hurting his mom by needing more money. He's been scared of standing up to his father in the places that he felt that he wasn't consistent. He's been scared of really being enough in his own life. And that's all the shit that was me. And that's where the change really started to happen. And that's where that communication really started to strengthen. There's a lot of crying, a lot of sadness. And then on the other side of that was a lot of forgiveness for who I am. And recognizing that we are all the same in this sense. We're all challenged in our lives. But again, as I said before, the obstacle was the greatest opportunity.
Yeah, it's a diamond in the rough.
And what the diamond needs is pressure, right? We're all just a piece of coal, but you apply the right pressure for the right amount of time, and a diamond emerges. And so instead of looking at the challenges, I started to realize that relationship, that my first marriage was exactly what I needed. It was exactly the pressure that I needed to really hone that diamond. And so I'm so grateful to my ex-wife. I'm so grateful to my wife today for, applying that pressure, for putting me on the spot, and for my children who really, really put me on the spot. I mean, talk about a mirror. They reflect back everything that you don't want to see about yourself and everything you do in the best and worst ways. And so that's where the pressure came, and really caused me to take a deeper look.
So I did a short video the other day about imploring people to feel the pain, and because it is that notion that where there's pressure, it seeks release. The pressure seeks release, and so a lot of us try and sort of tiptoe around or avoid the pain and avoid that pressure, which essentially keeps a little bit of pressure on, but not enough to really push through and create a diamond, which at the end of it, when you really put enough pressure on and you go through that work and you go through that process and you allow yourself to feel all of that, you get to that space where I see you are at right now, which is just full love and gratitude for those experiences, for those people in your life, for all of that, which essentially is the ultimate diamond. But can you speak on that, the necessity of allowing yourself to feel the pain and allowing yourself to actually be in those moments and experience them, whether it be ideally during the experiences, but if not, at least afterwards, and allowing yourself to go back and revisit them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have specifically as men. I've been raised in a culture where I was told not to feel. I remember crying, and my father looking at me and telling me, shut the fuck up. What are you doing? Stop that. And not from a
brutal.
And I want to honor my father because he is a tremendous, amazing man with a huge heart. And I love him to death. And what I always say is hurt people hurt people. Where did these messages come from? He didn't make them up. He received them from his father, who received them from his father, who received them from his father. And so
they're coming from a space of love. Like, they are doing their best with what they've got, and that's, I think, not maybe
absolutely
given the dues enough, because it is coming from a good space. It just hurt people, and it does fuck us up, and we've got our own shit to deal with that's been passed down. But it is beautiful still.
And so just getting the opportunity to feel. And I see David, you're there. What's happening, brother? A man from my man cave we just passed through. And this is, such a huge, important part of this process that we do in coming together as men, is to be vulnerable and express that feeling, without judgment. Because in so many places in our lives, we are judged by that feeling. I recently did Preston Smiles' Bridge and Bridge Extreme program a couple weeks ago. And I got to face off with my little boy again. You know, there's levels. You know, you have that conversation, and you can have a deeper conversation. You have a deeper conversation, and a deeper conversation. There's levels to this conversation, you know, I can have that experience and tell you how I feel, and then I can, you know, be in a space where it is displayed for me that I can feel, and then I can be in a space where everyone is like just pulling out their raw emotional guts, and that gives me even deeper permission to feel. But permission is a huge part of it, you know, and the way that we give permission is our vulnerability. By being vulnerable, I create a space for other people to be vulnerable. And the larger the group is, the more powerful that can be to experience other people's vulnerability, to allow you to really open up and go there. And then once it's said, and it no longer holds power over you to a certain degree. You're going to say it again, and you're going to say it again, and you're going to say it again. But each time you say it, each time it passes through, it has less and less significance.
Yeah, absolutely. It's full on, man. I love it. And there's a lot of people that just have no idea about this type of work, these types of processes that, I just love that you guys are doing this work, and that I'm a part of it as well, and get the opportunity to be a part of it with you as well. It's awesome. All right, so let's look forwards as well. So you've obviously done a lot of the inner work. You've come a long way from your deepest, darkest times. What were some of the parts? Because you said like you're a self-proclaimed arsehole back in the day. What were some of the hardest thing? Oh, you're frozen on me. You still there? I think you might. All right, you're cool. I might jump off my Wi-Fi because it might be slowing us down. There we go. Is that a bit better? No, not really.
That's me.
All right. I think I just jumped off my Wi-Fi. Should work a little bit better. So, as I was saying, self-proclaimed arsehole, and I'm right beside you there as well, in my own right. But I wanted to touch on what sort of were the characteristic parts of yourself or identity shifts that you felt were the hardest things to go through, the parts that you really needed to kill off and die for this new version of you to be reborn. Because I know for myself, there's been a few times where there's been a real massive identity shift that has occurred that is just like, I don't know who the fuck this person is or who I am if I'm not that anymore. So I'd love to hear your perspective on what were some of the experiences you went through of what really had to kill off and die in order for you to be born into this new version that is a less asshole version and a more awesome version of you.
Well, let me preface it by saying I'm still killing them. There's still lots of layers to go. You know, it's a question of when do you reach enlightenment, right? It's just a level. You know, one level closer. I don't think that there's no there. But what I would say is that I think the biggest piece and the biggest challenge was my know-it-all. Letting go of my know-it-all. And that's something that I'm still working on today, and shedding different layers of that. But as I said before, you know, recognizing in my relationship, you know, I fell in love with, I called to myself a brain scientist, you know, and what I was really calling in was where I felt the greatest sense of lack. You know, I show everybody that I have the answers. I know exactly what it is. And when I called in, you know, somebody who had graduated from Harvard and had their PhD from Caltech, well, then I was showing the world that I was smart enough. And I knew better than to think that that was the story, but to a certain degree, that was my little boy running my life. And so the big shedding that I'm still doing every single day is letting go of needing to have it figured out. needing to know what it looks like. I recently, and Byron, you're on here, man. You know this is my new favorite phrase. I don't know. I don't know is one of the most powerful things that I can say in my life. To not have it all figured out and not need to have it figured out is really where the fun guy is starting to come through. And that's my big journey in life right now is letting go of the serious dean of students guy who wears the, I don't know, I've let my hair grow out. I'm wearing some strange things on my face, and just, yeah, the hippie, let my freak flag fly,
Yeah,
let my
man.
freak flag fly. Don't have all the answers and be okay with being okay.
Yeah.
I made 4 times as much money last year as I made, or 2 years ago as I made last year. And I've been more abundant in my life than I ever have been by just acknowledging gratitude. Number one thing that has served me in my life is gratitude. Giving thanks for what I have every single day because I am so incredibly abundant. I was looking at my coin jar the other day. I was like, I've got more money in my coin jar than most people in this planet actually survive off in a
Literally.
month,
Literally.
right?
Yeah.
Literally, in many places for a year. I mean, that's
Crazy.
ridiculous abundance.
Yeah.
Really when I think about that. So
It's
gratitude
nuts.
for what I have is number one. And then second is just not needing to know, not
Yeah.
needing to have a plan for where it's going. And that's what's leveling up my life right now, is to
Yeah.
be in the
Awesome.
play of it all. Just to be in the play, man. Just to like jump up and shout around and be like, yeah, I'm on a podcast with this dude on the other side of the planet. This is crazy. Matt Banks is called, what's up? Like that's where it's at.
Yeah.
The reality
Absolutely.
that like we're talking across the planet right now. I got my man Tate, Greg, Ben. I mean, all these amazing men on this space that I love with my deepest heart. And they're taking a few minutes out of their day to listen to you and I talk, man. That is crazy,
It is.
crazy abundance.
It's full on when you have that perspective as well, because when you're down, when you're out, I think when you're very young as well, and a lot of naivety in that, but to have that more wider, broader perspective of what's going on, and understanding really how grateful we are, it has a massive difference. I remember hearing, I think it was it was Gary Vaynerchuk talking about how it's like 1 in 400 trillion chance of even being alive, and rah-de-rah. But one thing I've started to tell people as well, which really hit me and knocked me for six, was that we're literally, every single moment that we have is a 1 in an infinite chance of ever experiencing this moment. And so people get excited over a raffle draw or a Tats Lotto win, or the smallest of small chances, or the best chances. But every single moment that we're in existence, even when we do feel anxiety or overwhelm or depression or stress, those are such massive gifts, and such a rare chance to even be experiencing them. And it's to be grateful for it all like that. It puts a whole new spin on it all. And it really does. And you do get to play like it is just a big play. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. The old me had everything figured out and had lots of answers for everything. I don't know. And
I
that
know.
I don't know allows me to be perfectly in this moment,
Yeah.
experiencing what's supposed to happen,
Yeah. That's so cool. And it turns you into the dumbest person in the room, so to speak. Well, allows yourself to be, and allows yourself to be such an open minded, learned mindset, because you can take something from everyone and anything in every situation as well. And I said to you before we jumped on, like, I looked through your website and you've got all these big titles that are attached to your name in the past, a lot of syllables there that I'm not even going to try. So to go from that to this mindset, I can imagine would have been a massive identity shift. But by the looks of it and by the sounds of it, I know it's been a shift for the best as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I would say is the greatest leaders are really the people that don't need to have it, don't need to know. The greatest people in leadership are the ones that speak last, are the ones that listen to what everybody else has to say. And allow other voices to be heard, allow everyone else to step into their greatness. You know, I taught filmmaking for a very long time at this perspective that, you know, as you step on a set as a director, all of these people have been working their ass off just to carry coffee. They're incredibly gifted. And who are you to think that, who am I to think that I am so much better because I get to sit in the director's seat? If I can just provide a space for each one of these people to put in their own collective genius, that collective group makes such greater work than what I could do by myself. And I think that's my new path in life, you know, is really living into that. I've been teaching that, but it's living into that, you know, living into the experience of letting you do your magic here. Let you ask the questions, let me answer, you know, let all of these other people who tuned in to chime in and add their voice to this to make it something special. I mean, that's really what's so amazing about this live space, right? Is because it gives everyone an opportunity to put their own love, their own genius, their own piece into it.
100%. That's it. You can hit up that question there.
Oh yeah, can you share the importance of community of men and how it's empowered you in your journey? Yeah. Thank you, Samantha. I've been friends with men my entire life. I shared locker rooms with men. I shared fraternity houses with men. And I've shared my heart only with women. And one of the things that I discovered is that I thought that opening up my heart to women allowed me to be closer to them. But what I ultimately did is I used it as a tool to manipulate my relationships. I was the guy that women could open up to, and I appeared to be vulnerable, and it really wasn't serving me. When I decided to intentionally create relationships with men and open up my heart to those stories that I just shared with you, and to say that, you know, I've been a manipulator. I've been a person that used my knowledge to get what I want from people. I came to find that I wasn't alone. I came to find that a lot of the challenges and a lot of the shame that I experienced in many different areas of my life were the same thing that was on the hearts of men everywhere. And so by coming together with other men and sharing those experiences, it gave me an opportunity to really realize that I am unique, but I'm not special. And that was huge. You know, I always thought I was special. You know, that my shit didn't stink, or my shit was special kind of shit. But it's not, you know? It's not special. It's unique in its flavor and how it comes together, yeah. But that was really what was important for me. And then to be seen in my fullness and all of my messed up stuff and be accepted in that, that's what really changed the game for me. I was talking with a woman earlier today about, you know, one of the things that is a big challenge for us as men is I find my opportunity to be vulnerable with women, and particularly with my partner, but it doesn't necessarily serve my relationship. You know, I come home and say, you know, sweetheart, I am really concerned that I'm not going to make this, you know, I'm not going to keep this job. I might get fired. I'm not enough. You know, and what that does, it starts to plant these stories inside the mind of my partner that maybe he's not enough. Maybe he's not capable of doing all these things. And what I've started to realize is that my relationship is not strong enough. My relationship is strong. I love my wife, my queen. But what I mean is that the relationship is not the container for my problems. The relationship is where I celebrate life together with my partner. And yes, there are opportunities to be vulnerable and to express, but I need to work those things out. I need to work those things out with other people that are experiencing it in the same way. And really, as a man, that means relating to other men, connecting with other men around the challenges that I'm facing, so that I can come home and say, I love you. I had some stuff, I worked it out, and I'm now ready to be present with you. That's really what's leveled up my life in this journey.
Boom. That's an epiphany moment for me, man. I often, because I have not been a part of a men's group. Oh, no, I haven't been. And I love, I always heard the term shared trauma. And it's where like you go through some stuff and then magically you come across people that are going through the same shit, and you just connect because you're on that same path at the same time. And yeah, I love that that's the way you hold that that viewpoint, that the relationship isn't the space for that necessarily. Obviously there is vulnerability within that, I'm sure, but to go out and find people that are sharing that same experience, and whether it is a man or woman alike, but I really see the validity in that and the benefits of doing that as well, and keeping that that relationship where stronger, and more belief within one another, because you know that, like, one of the other things is like we can't wear every single hat for our partner. We can't expect them to wear every single hat for us, and so that's a really good tangible experience in how to share that load and to allow other people to wear some hats within our life, not put that burden on our relationship, which is really beautiful, man. I love it.
Oh, thank you. There it is. Sam Lewis in the house. Sorry, I just had to give that man a shout out.
Hey,
there he is.
I wanted to ask about, you've mentioned co-creation, co-facilitating, a lot of coing, and I want to touch on that because it's not very common to hear the expression, unless you're really in the circle of people that are expressing themselves in that form and fashion. But let's speak on co-creation for a little while and what that means, and then I want to lead into the leadership again. I'm glad you brought that up as well. So yeah, hit me up with your philosophy, understanding, perspective, your approach when it comes to co-facilitating, co-creating.
Well, without getting too religious on anybody here, I first and foremost believe that it's always co-creating with God. Oh, no, I know. It's first and foremost co-creating with God, with Creator, with Source, with whatever that means for you. I don't think there's any one way of looking at that, but with the higher self, with that self that's deep inside of me, is what I truly believe. That I don't have it figured out. I don't have the answers, and I don't need to have the answers. There is a higher power that has some answers figured out for me. And so first and foremost, that co-creation is always with Source. Asking the question every single day. Actually Sam Lewis gave me a little introduction on his meditation process, man, and it right to the heart, man. In having that practice every day of sitting and asking the questions, what's being asked of me today, and co-creating that reality with the presence of what's around. And my queen is the number one place that I look to co-create in this life. That I'm not as I create my world and my kingdom, I also recognize that I am not on this path alone. That my queen is here to create amazing things in this world, and that we are collectively creating our own reality. That we create a reality in this home, and as we create the reality that we truly want to live in, we have the opportunity to magnify that to the world. And that's really the journey that we're on together. Is my queen is also a coach. She does a lot of women's work, hosts women's moon lodges, and works together with a group of women called the Coven, that is, helping women connect to their own spirituality and that deeper spiritual mother, and what that really means. And so that's really what co-creation is really about for me. It starts with the higher self. It moves into my most personal relationship, but really it's about every single relationship that I'm in. Every single person that I come into contact with. How can this engagement that we're having right now help to facilitate the vision or mission that you have and that we collectively hold? How can I make every single conversation an opportunity to co-create the reality of the world that we want to be in? You know, I'm in this conversation with you because I know that you're committed to making this world a better place. You're committed to the work that you're doing as a man. You're committed to supporting other people in doing this work. And so here we are, co-creating a reality that may support other people to level up their own life and their own existence. And if you're interested in more, and I saw somebody asked about where this men's group is, I should say just really quickly that the Conscious Men's Brotherhood is the umbrella for all of the work that we do collectively with Sam and Jetty and Preston and Blaze and all of these great men out there. Man Cave is the program that we're offering currently. And you can check that out at prestonsmiles.com/mancave. And the big work that we're bringing in May is a group program. Be on the lookout for that. We're going to dive in and go intensive with men over 2 days to really make that happen. That's right, CMB
in the house.
CMB.
Represent.
That's right. And so yeah, that's where it's going down right now with the work that we're doing with men.
Yeah, I love it. Beautiful. And so let's segue into some talk about some leadership and what that means and what that looks like for you, and some tactical, strategical tips that you may have, and things that just whatever come to you, man, and just sort of ad-lib on what leadership is for you, this revolution that you're really wanting to put your footprint on, and what we can all do to sort of play a part in creating that and helping you achieve that as well.
Beautiful. Wow, leadership's a big question. You know, there's so many different ways to be a leader in this life, and you know, really what I'm about right now is supporting people to discover their own leader. You know, a lot of times I think we think of the leader as being the loudest person in the room, the person who has all the answers, or the person who is the CEO, or the person who is in charge of the business, or the person who signs the paychecks. And what I really believe is a leader is someone who helps other people to find their own personal greatness, and that can look a lot of different ways. You know, sometimes the leader in the room is the person who just makes space for you to be your authentic self. The person who says, hey, that person has an idea. The person who just gives you a hug in the morning when you're having a rough day. Leadership can look, you know, a lot of different ways. What's on my heart right now is really, first of all, helping people to discover what their vision for the world is. And I think that's a great and important place to start. You know, where is the world that you want to be a part of? Because I think when people are connected to their own personal vision, it's easy to link up with the collective vision, to find themselves in community with the people that really matter. You know, there's a lot of times in our society, in Western society, we focus on power as this idea of domination, you know, to have power over somebody, you know, and we think of our leaders as the people who have power over. And I believe there's two other really more important kinds of power. One is power within, you know, that connection to the thing that is most morally calling you forward, the thing that you truly deeply believe in your heart is true, or things. But also it's power with creating communities. You know, the people united can never be defeated. The challenge is raising the collective consciousness around the ideas that are on your heart. So first of all, we create a vision, the thing that we really want to see happen in this world. And we create a mission. How am I going to be a part of putting that vision into place? What is my unique medicine, and how do I support that vision? And by doing so, I start to call around me a collective of people who are in alignment with that vision and that mission. And then we ultimately find how we can all be leaders. How do we support each other in raising the bar on the work that we're doing? So most of us come from this limited mindset of scarcity, that if somebody else is going to be a leader, then I have to be a follower. Well, why can't everybody in the space be a leader in their own way? If I can support everybody else to come together and to find their own magic and support other people in finding their own magic, then we collectively are raising the collective consciousness to create that vision and make that vision a reality. So my piece in the puzzle right now, and the piece that I've seen consistently over the story of my life is storytelling. I first got involved in theater, working around a model called Theater for the Oppressed, where we go into communities and we help them to tell their story through improvisation and communicate that story back out to the community in a way that they can be heard. Right?
That's so cool.
And it's amazing work. And then I got involved in the film to magnify that message even louder and even clearer.
Yeah, true.
Got lost in Hollywood for a little while, realizing that wasn't exactly the path that I wanted to take. But now that I found the community, the Conscious Men Brotherhood, a community of men that are sharing this vision of a world in which we are free to be authentically ourselves and support everyone in sharing the medicine that is on their heart, it brought me back to this place of allowing people to see their own story and communicate that story in a way that brings more people to the vision that they're holding. And so I found myself, for many years I called myself a chameleon. I was able to live in many different worlds and speak that language. But really what that's brought me to is my own unique magic, is being able to communicate whatever is on your heart, to translate that into a visual story that helps people immediately understand what you're all about, so that they'll be more attracted to the vision that you are that is on your heart, and getting more people engaged in that, so that we begin to create movements, and bigger cycles, so that ultimately this whole world is changing.
That's powerful, Barry. That's awesome. I love it. Right, we're going to do some work together.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Lovely, man. Lovely. And all right, so first of all, where can people find you to be working with you and to be doing this sort of stuff, if they want to reach out?
Yeah, well, you can find me on my webpage, kellygardner.com. That's the easiest way. Find me on Facebook. I'm not the most social guy, I'll be honest. What I realized is that I prefer to just have conversations with people. That's where the real work is happening. So message me. Hit me with a DM. I love to hear from people and hear what's on your heart, and see if there's an opportunity to reflect back on that. I think that I read recently, if it can be done in under an hour, it doesn't require me to be doing it. In other words, I don't believe in short conversations. I believe in really diving in, hearing what's on your heart, and seeing how we can work together to facilitate something new coming through.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. And so what does 2019 have in store for you? What are you trying to achieve and really trying to get out there in the short-term period, this next 12 months?
Thank you. So my big, the big thing on my heart right now is I want to get involved in documentaries again. Haven't done that work in a very long time, and I am going to put out a documentary on Netflix this year about men's work. That is the big pie in the sky goal, and so I want you to be looking out for it, because I want to attract more and more people to this work and make men's work an everyday thing. Where my children, when they grow up, they are able to say, "Yeah, I'm going to my men's group." Not, "What's a men's group?"
Yeah, that's it.
Where it becomes just like instead of going to play a sport after school, they're going to their men's group. And that's just the normal course of life. I'm trying to put that on the map. So that's my big medicine, and continuing the work of CMB, continuing the work of Man Cave, and supporting entrepreneurs and coaches in communicating their story in visuals as a visual story that brings more and more people to the message that's on their heart.
I love it, man. I love it so much. We've got a lot in alignment going on right now. I'm going to be traveling around and doing some live events around the States later on in the year. And mate, I'd love for you to join me on stage and share your story and share your wisdom. Would you be open to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you, man. Love to see you in person.
Beautiful. Yeah, 100%. It won't be too long. Any last bit of wisdom, mate, or anything on your mind that you'd like to share with the audience and share with the people watching and anyone that's watching the replay that's sort of just coming to you at the moment?
The words "don't wait" came to me. Don't wait. Whatever it is that you're sitting on right now, whatever it is that you want to be doing, whatever it is that you believe is your true calling, don't wait. There is no future. Now is the only time. And while you're spending all of your time figuring out how it's going to work and how it's going to be perfect and how I'm going to make all of these right moves so that everything is perfectly in alignment, stop planning, get in the game. Now is the time.
You are speaking my language, bro. Love it. Thank you so much for joining me, man. I really appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to coming over, catching up. Guys,
indeed.
Thanks.
And hopefully I'll be out there in May. And if I make it out there in
Beautiful.
May, I'll look you up for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, thanks for joining us as well. Thanks for watching. If you're watching the replay, let us know. Believe in yourself, express yourself authentically, and evolve consciously. We'll chat to you guys tomorrow. Thanks, Kelly. Speak soon, brother.
Blessings.